Hello, my friends. How are we doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing pretty swell. Um, Feeling better. I've been kind of having a bad run health wise lately, but I'm starting to get a little bit better now. And yeah, so we're putting together the news around here before we get to quite a bit of interesting news from the world of academia and fish discoveries, new species, some very pretty ones that will probably be in the hobby. We'll also be talking about some really crazy stories and some interesting research that's gone on. I used to do the Fishtory series, and that's where the channel kind of got its shortened name from, Fishtory. And the channel was, of course, The Secret History Living in Your Aquarium, but far too long of a name, especially to tag when you have questions. So at Fishtory is much easier. And I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome in. Come on in. The water's fine. And I think I'm going to return to the Fishtory series. I think we'll start it up again. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I've had so much I wanted to say. And other than the folks who join me on these live streams too, because you guys are a different crowd than the folks who just click on videos, I have to say that I was honestly, I'm worn out on the comments about my teeth. I know they're horrible. I know that I had crowns and that they're all gone right now, and that I was supposed to have surgery very recently. And I will be having surgery on March 4th now, March 3rd, whatever Monday, the first Monday in March is. And I was supposed to have surgery prior to that, but now I'm gonna have it then. Hold on, someone knocked at the door. Laura, can you please use at the door?
Hi. Hey. Oh, hey. Yeah, I just came by to get this.
Okay, hold on, guys. One sec.
What do you guys doing? Good. Alex just started the stream.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm on my way somewhere anyway.
Oh, you are? Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna trying to get that disposal. And then
Oh, I didn't know you mentioned that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I just said because I was gonna be out anyway. I just figured
Okay.
I'm Home Depot for
Gotcha.
disposal, garbage disposal, and then another. Yeah, working out.
That stuff.
Well, I was gonna call you right after my streams, but yeah, I'm literally live on the internet.
No, I will. No.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye.
All right. In breaking news, my friends, that was my father. My father drove over to my house randomly after talking to me on the phone and me telling him, yeah, I'm busy. And he accidentally delivered an Amazon package to my address. Instead of like a gift or something, he had saved the address, Well, he actually delivered it to my house, but it was for him this time. It's not the holidays anymore, not my birthday anymore. And I was supposed to give him a call. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to stream real quick because I'm going to try to make this stream over by about 6 o'clock because Kenny goes on. Kenny and Danny over on Danikin's Aquatic go on there about 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern. And I was like, so I'll just give him a call in 45 minutes because we just got home. Well, we talked to him, I don't know, 45 minutes ago, an hour ago on the phone. And I said, I'll call you back. But he just knocked on the door and yeah, so sorry, I had to get that. But that was very odd and unexpected. And then I mean, I don't know if he's going to be upset that I didn't chat with him for a little bit, but too bad. It was a really weird time to show up. Unexpected. So, in any case, How's everybody doing? It's good to see y'all. Jeff Kane, Shady Grady, Bambi, Cave of Wonders, Linda Worth, Kenny, what's going on? Speak of the Devil, Psychedelic Hippocampus, Jesse Lee, Passing Wind, Lumpy Dog. Very good to see all of y'all. Aquatic Moose, Jesse, what's up? Possumberg, hello. Branton, hello. Brian, Murphy, Matt, uh, Paul Cardoza. I just see Passing Wind every time I see your name. It just stands out. And Linda Worth. How are y'all doing? All right. So let's talk about some fish news. I had this segment that was Fishtory, and it used to be 5 to 10 minute shorts, and I'd usually put them out together in a week long segment so that you could, in theory, the Aquatic Morning Show could play them uh, one each day of the week, like 4 days a week, or maybe even 5 days a week. And I would upload it for members at the beginning of the week. And it was just me standing in front of a no background. And so the videos, honestly, they did very poorly. Like hardly anybody watched them. And I know some of you who do watch, some of you true nerds, you definitely actually watched those and enjoyed them or listened to them. And that's kind of the thing that was the bummer, was that when I'd make those, the problem was that they would go up and only maybe 1,000 views would happen. And that wasn't a problem to me personally, because it was a format that was like very low production. It was just about getting you guys the information about what's happening in science and academia and fish related news and the hobby related news. But the problem is it tanks my analytics so that the other videos I make, so it's assuming, oh, your last video only got 1,000 views and you got 60,000 subscribers now. That's pretty bad. So we're not going to send it out to anyone. And so that's what was happening. And so I'm trying to figure out a way around that, because I'd still like to keep doing this. So maybe even just a second channel that's even nerdier. um, or maybe the answer is just to, film something interesting. But sometimes I have visual aids I want to put up. But the idea behind Fishtory and Fish News is that I could either cut it or edit it down and then present it, so to speak, just in an audio format. So it could be taken as a podcast, or that folks who like to listen while they're driving or doing water changes. So you guys can do that. And so now I'm thinking maybe I'll just do one live stream a week where I'm doing fish news, and I can cut those up if there's one that, seems extra interesting or has extra video and stuff like that. So that's one idea. A second channel is another idea. But regardless, I want to return to it. And like I said, I honestly have just been really self-conscious about, one, being tired, looking worn out, and my teeth. Like once I get my teeth fixed, I think I will have a lot more confidence again. And I never realized, like, I've never had great teeth, but when you look like you have been eating in a dumpster and like living off of only things that come in crystals, it's a bad look, especially if you're looking tired at all anyways. I just got so many comments, and believe it or not, like, or I mean, you guys probably believe it, but even if I don't take offense to it, it kills the videos. People look at your mouth and they're like, gross, like, or they're like, why don't you get that fixed? That's what I heard so many people, especially overseas, saying. And I'm like, well, it's because I've already spent $58,000 on the reconstruction of my mouth, jaw, and teeth since my injury. And it's out of pocket here in the US. So, anyways, that's just the truth. And I wanted to kind of get that off my chest, because for the last 2 months, I've been only doing like a video or two a week and a live stream a week. And part of that's been health, part of that's been just, I guess you call it depressed, call it just kind of unmotivated because of some of the results. But I look at a video and I'm like, man, I don't want to see, like, I would rather watch a happy, chipper version of me or an okay looking version of me than some bummer version. So I just wanted to tell you guys that, and I thank all of you who are so supportive. The vast majority of you are incredibly supportive, incredibly kind, and are here to learn, to nerd out on fish and science, and to be an awesome community. I mean, we're at 60,000 subscribers, and the majority of folks have something interesting to say, something polite to say, or they're here because they're curious. And I think that is, that's all I could all all I could hope for. So let's talk a little bit about some of the crazy things going on related to fish, because that's what we're here about. And in the next 30 minutes, we'll cover that. And then after that, I will disappear and I will try to find a link to the Danikin um, stream for y'all in case y'all want to go over there and just chill out and be friends. Um, Yep, Atita, I hear you. Took you 3,500 out of pocket. It took you 5 years to save up the money. Still have two caps to go. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that they told me with like how much damage I'd had from the lightning strike to my sinus cavities and everything. I can't have, they didn't want me to get a normal like denture because the way your dentures wear, you lose bone density and stuff, and my sinus doesn't have enough of that. So there is enough for a post to go in if they do it before I lose that bone density with aging. And so they want me to get those posts, even if they end up going up into my sinuses. They want me to get the 10 implants up top. And so they popped off or took out all of my caps and crowns right now in prep for pulling the full teeth. And then I even had another crown that was right in the front bust off, like, I don't know, 2 months ago. And since that happened, it's changed the way I talk. It's changed like the way everything. It changed how I eat everything. So, anyways, enough of that. And if you're interested about the lightning strike, I do have a video talking about it. That's a fairly recent update. Plus, you can go back in time 5 years ago. Coming up on, it's going to be 6 years, honey?
Or what?
Lightning strike.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 years in June. So last June or August, or June or July, I did a video talking about it. If you're curious about the details, but you can also go back and just literally watch the channel. There's one video where I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? Happy go lucky." Next one, I'm like, "Hey, I'm kind of a little out of sorts. Uh, my memory's a little weird." And then all of a sudden my memory went completely out the door and there's just like a missing gap from Fishtory. Then it's me coming back, still mixing up words, still like losing words, stuttering. And at that time I was like barely walking, in tons of pain. I had all these burns on me and going to all these doctors. Anyways, so you can go back and see that for yourself. But let's get some more Fishtory. Let's get some Fishtory out of the way uh while we're all here. Okay. So let's see. So the first one I wanted to talk about is that there is a stingray, and you guys probably saw this story, but I wanted to cover it a little more in depth. And there is a stingray that has become pregnant at the North Carolina Aquarium. Now, a lot of people were wondering how this happened because the stingray was supposed to be in an exhibit where it was alone. There were no other male stingrays. I don't even think there were other female stingrays. And all of a sudden, it turns up that it's pregnant. Well, there are sharks in the tank, and apparently, this was news to me. Apparently, stingrays and sharks can have or can mate. Now, what I haven't found out is if they create viable offspring ever. I don't think that they do, or maybe they die shortly after, or they're really malformed. Most biologists, when I have found, there was or not a political, an academic discussion of the topic recently, and essentially they discussed everything and were like, yeah, it's so unlikely because you'd need a tiny species of shark, and you definitely need the mother to be a shark, but for some reason it doesn't work that way. The males are uh it's always the males are the shark and the females are the stingray because of biology, some quirk. And so that's kind of interesting in that sense. But they are saying that yeah, like basically the shark baby is so big that it would um break the womb, or whatever, it would kill or rupture the female ray in most cases, most species. However, they do have the ability to also store the DNA after mating and use it later, use that genetic material later. So that was another question, but apparently they've been keeping track of this lady stingray supposedly. So unless someone snuck into the aquarium and took a old Visine jar full of stingray juju juice and just decided to sprinkle that in her enclosure or something. Uh, God, that'd be weird if that is what happened. Uh, it sounds like it is going to be an asexual birth, but the other thing is we have extensive documentation in the fish world of basically there's something called sequential hermaphroditism, and that is like snails and crayfish do that sometimes, where they will be a female, they will produce an egg, and then they will actually have a spike in their hormones. And just like we can go through puberty, they go through an extreme morph similar to puberty, and boom, they end up having they become a male, and they actually can produce the sperm, and then that fertilizes the eggs that are already in existence from when it was a female. And then usually they transition back to a female to either lay the eggs or to carry them out, if they carry them in some sort of pouch or underneath their body or something like that. You did catch us live, Postals Pat. Welcome. And yes, Atita, stingrays can store sperm like other species. I don't know about this particular stingray, and I've seen conflicting things even about which stingray it is. Um, you know, Apparently, white spotted bamboo sharks are the sharks that were most likely to have done it if they did in the aquarium. Um, so that's kind of interesting. But what happens other than the sequential kind of animals essentially fertilizing themselves and being able to have babies is like we see in mollies. Now, Amazon mollies are a fascinating fish, and there's actually some really cool video of them that went viral not too long ago that showed them shimmering. And whenever I tend to show video clips, it demonetizes the whole stream, and then the stream doesn't ever get promoted. So I have to be selective about it. Like when we looked at those old fish clips, I got hit with using a copyrighted video, and some company got all the money instead of me. Not that there was like a whole bunch of money from the video. I think it was like $1.40 or something. But the bigger problem is that then it doesn't get promoted, and that's what bums me out, is that they don't. YouTube, you have to really do a lot to work past the amount that it kind of buries the video once you get a strike against you, like a demonetization on a video, because it basically says like video, it's got some problems, and so it unless it has a natural buzz or link to it from outside the platform, it kind of dies. But um, uh, so basically, the stingray that is pregnant, my theory, if they can really say that it was not a another stingray that got in there somehow, is that what happens is the same thing that happens in mollies, and this happens in some postciliata and some platyfish as well, and that is that one species can be fertilized by another species, and there is the kind of thing that happens where you create a hybrid, which is, also a possibility, I suppose, here, but it'd be a very odd one. uh, but the more kind of oddball thing in genetics that happens is there is a form, and I'm forgetting the name of it right now. It has a technical term, but basically, the male DNA and hormones spark the egg that already existed in the female that was not fertile. It sparks it to then split, and it uses a copy of itself to then, like, it's triggered by the male sperm still, and it uses a copy of the female set, so it's two X chromosomes again, and it actually is a clone of the mother. And that male's DNA, even though it was needed to kind of start the biological process, it is no longer involved in the reproductive process, so that baby will be a clone of the mother, and in some species it's sterile and others not. And so, very interesting genetics, and I think that that is what will probably be something that happened. Maybe the shark actually triggered it to be carrying a baby like that, which I think life will find a way. Amazon mollies did this 240,000 years ago, give or take, and there has not been a male Amazon molly ever since this population. They think something maybe like a flood or a landslide cut them off, and the females just started mutating, and they can use any other fish that's in the next basically like four genuses across. They can use their sperm as a trigger to have a baby, and in some of those other species they'll hybridize and have a baby. So it's kind of crazy, but life is crazy, and we know that there are many fish that change their sex and gender. Very crazy. So that's one thing that's going on. Yeah, parthenogenesis is the overall term. Thank you, for sure. I appreciate that. And also, by the way, I just saw. Thank you very much, Postal Pats, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. THB. What is that? Is that not Tibetan? Is it what money is that? THB. Uh, the I don't know what that. I'm sorry. I'm so ignorant. I don't know. Ah, Danikin, buddy, thank you. Holy smokes. Kenny is giving out 5 memberships, guys. Thank you, buddy. Oh, Ty. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Postal Pats, and welcome to the live stream. I'm glad you caught me, I guess. I mean, I'm glad you're here, but of course, uh, I appreciate that. Thank you, buddy. And I saw that we have a new member too, so I don't want to neglect that fact. I just didn't want to stop the story. Uh, where did it go? I just saw it. I just saw it. Oh, Verse. So, Verse, welcome to the family, and also 5 of you, welcome to the family. Y'all can check out the old Fishtory episodes, which are audio based, predominantly audio. And you go to the community tab and look back. And I posted those. I posted sources and notes and things. Plus, there's just extra videos that sometimes I'll post something like if I'm on a road trip and we go to a fish shop or something, and it doesn't make the channel publicly. We'll do that kind of thing in the background for community members. Melissa, hello. Andrea, hello. 186 Element, Mountain Greenery, Charles Vaughn. It's so good to see all of you. Man, I am so yeah, there's like 200 episodes of Fishtory that exist, and hopefully we'll have another 100 or so in the next few months coming out, you know. So on to the next little story. Now this one, let me pull this up. I hate to say that I'm picking a fight with Father Fish because he and I are friends, and I want to be civil, but he did say recently that he doesn't think that the climate is changing. And whether you think it's humans or not, it's humans, in my opinion, to some major degree. But whether or not you think it's humans, it's pretty easy to see that the climate is changing. The climate's always changing, but it's changing a lot in certain ways. And this new article that recently came out is kind of interesting, and it goes over that the water in our oceans in the last 60 years has doubled compared to the last 150,000 years in acidity. And that is because just like CO2 causes your aquarium to become acidic, uh, the ocean absorbs CO2 that's in the atmosphere. And when there's too much of it, which is great that the ocean kind of evolved in a ecosystem to do this. Algae eats it, you know, plants eat it, trees, all that. They use it for building new tissue. They steal the carbon off of it and then they release the oxygen, which is great. However, that carbon also, a percentage of it, dissolves into the oceans and becomes an acid. It becomes carbonic acid. And that is one measurement of how much carbon is in the atmosphere. We can also look at ice cores from thousands and thousands, like something like almost a million years of ice cores. And we can see hundreds of thousands of years of how much carbon was in the ice by the pH of that water, but like down to the, 7.1000 point, or I mean, sorry, like it'd be 7.00012% or something like that. It's very, very accurate. And when we can see it goes to that 7.00014, that means something. So that's how we track these things, one of many ways. And, we can look at other things like tree rings, what will tell us, but they predict that, that it is going to be real bad in that the Antarctic waters, from being at a baseline of 0.7 neutral baseline, that they are going to see a doubling of what we first saw already. And so scientists projected by 2100, upper 650 feet, 200 meters of the ocean, where the majority of marine life exists as far as we know. And this was in the Journal of Nature and Communications section of it. These are critical findings. It was a big, massive international team that found these results. And the ocean absorbs 30% of the CO2 emitted worldwide in our atmosphere. So that is above the trees and things, which is pretty amazing, or near what the plants altogether actually absorb. And the southern oceans in particular are susceptible to acidification because the colder the water is, the more CO2 it can store. And just like you can store an entire bubble frozen in ice, the slower the water particles are moving, the easier they are to trap bubbles of gases. Whereas if it's warm and those little particles of water are moving around quickly, they break up the gas and it moves around quickly, and the air column or water column doesn't store it as easily. So it looks like, that is, yeah, that's not good. Actually, an increase of 104% to be specific. And the water, if we don't do anything at all, and we made corrections that were better, and everything just stopped tomorrow, which it's not going to, they still think that the amount that we've released by burning carbon and fossil fuels is going to be about 43% more acidic than current acidity of the ocean is there, which is bad for a number of reasons, but it actually kills certain plankton. It also, the acidity weakens the chitin and the calcium in shells of organisms like snails, sea urchins, and crabs, and invertebrates, and it makes them more susceptible to disease and things and predation. So there's a number of reasons why that's bad, other than it just not being a good sign, and the fact that it then gets, as the ice disappears, if the ice isn't freezing every winter annually, then you're going to end up with a problem, because that carbon isn't sequestered and trapped in ice for part of the year. It's just in the water. So yeah, but that is more proof. Massive consensus by scientists, and like I said, no shade to Father Fish, but he is he's been saying that the oceans aren't getting acidic, that there's no climate change that's human caused. And as an advocate of conservation and science, as he is usually, this is an issue that has been highly politicized. But I can see that there is an influence on the right and left, but um, it's it's something that the entire global scientific community, save for maybe less than 0.01%, agrees with. So yeah, um, so that's why we're covering it, because that has been going around and people have been telling me the coral reefs aren't dying. They're actually doing better than ever in Australia this year, which is true about one spot on one reef, which you would expect if the climate is shifting. The spot above the spot in the tropics that wasn't tropical, ta-da, now it can hold tropical fish and corals. So yeah. Um, all right. So another little piece of news is that electrical eels can change DNA of fish. This is real wacky news, in that early on, when electricity was discovered, they found out that it could mutate embryos of creatures. And that's where some of this, like, not Frankenstein, but some of this early, like, science fiction and stuff, where you always see like lightning uh, bringing some monster to life or whatnot. Uh, it is it's because of these things. It's because of early fascinations with electricity, when we didn't understand what was going on, and it turned out we wouldn't understand for a while, until the 1960s. But what it was actually doing to cause birth defects and things, or animals to die in as embryos, was electricity has the ability to take a set of DNA and take it from this part of the DNA chain and move it down 50 rows, which is very odd. So it can take an entire gene and knock it out of a spot and put it into another spot. So it's very, very odd thing that goes on. And usually it causes chaos, it kills things. But they have found a number of reasons and a number of instances in which they can actually predictively use it by using a specific amount of electricity and move that DNA a certain amount. Well, a Japanese grad student was thinking, so I've read these papers from the 20s where they first realized electricity could do something to cells. And then he read these papers after DNA was discovered, and in the late 60s, once we understood the structure of DNA, when they realized what electricity does to DNA. And then he realized, well, electric eels make electricity. And he looked at the amount that they make, and he was an engineering student, and he said, you know what's very interesting is this could change the DNA. So he said, let's all check this out and see what the electric eel does, because it's so incredibly powerful, this fish, that it's near, like, human levels of electricity as far as what it wields. It's near like usable levels for light bulbs and things, more than that. And it just comes in quick bursts. But sure enough, he found that in Daniels, when he tried it out, uh, it totally rearranged the DNA of baby Danio larva. And they don't know if there's maybe a strategy to this. Like, maybe it kills all the little competition of baby fish in the water. So it might be, yes, that they use it for hunting, but it could be even more important for the fact that when they spawn in these little lakes that are cut off from everything, like in a mud puddle, essentially, in the Amazon dry season, it could be a way to basically disinfect the puddle of any competition and see that their babies are the ones that survive. So there's a lot of research that needs to be done now. But I agree, guys. We can all love Father Fish. We can agree to disagree. Yes, I take plenty of notes from him that I think are good. He's mentioned to me that, his editors sometimes also take what he says and kind of use the most outlandish part, because it's made his channel blow up. It's worked great. I just, I personally am not ready to like take snippets like that out of context. If it's a true snippet, that's great. If there's like an incredible thing and you kind of push the headline, that's kind of the game on YouTube now. But he's said to me when we were live on my stream that, yeah, he's just kind of let his team say he's going to do that, and we kind of agree to disagree on that. And that's why he is more successful than me. And he's full of knowledge and good information. So no shade there. I'm just one point at a time. That's one thing that a lot of people are saying to me, and I say, "Where did you hear that?" And they said, "Oh, on a minute long short on TikTok or on Instagram," and it was in our community personally. So I wanted to mention that because it's big news and it was all over the fish stories today. Okay, so another really fascinating thing that's going on is that they were studying zebrafish as young fry in the first few weeks of life, and they realized that zebrafish actually can sense how warm the water is around them within a thousandth of a degree Celsius. And Fahrenheit, Celsius, doesn't really matter. That's really specific. And they have a temperature that is 76.8 degrees that they love. That's the temperature that they want to be at. Now, they're cold blooded creatures, just as most fish are considered cold blooded creatures. And a interesting uh, little tidbit is that the Danios that are in the lab currently, a lot of them have been bred so that their brain and their skull has thin cartilage. I don't know how you selectively breed for that. That is a trick right there. And then also so that their skin is translucent. So those are bred in traits. Well, then they crossed a gene just like glowfish, for phosphorescent, not for blacklight reactivity, but literally for a gene that produces a glow in the dark chemical reaction. And they basically um, made it so that one type of electrical impulse firing in the brain causes a green glow, and a negative, like a positive charge, and a negative charge causes a pink glow. So then they were able to see what part of the brain was active versus passively being used in a baby zebra Daniel by zooming in with a good camera on their brain through the top of their head with motion tracking software. So they took this and they then took the baby Danios and they took different temperature water, and with laminar flow, which is like they're in a tank and they're swimming at 2 miles an hour or whatever, and they're basically on a water treadmill, and all of a sudden they put in hot or cold water, and the fish will move towards the one that is the temperature that it likes. And they make a map um, of the temperatures around them in real time with their lateral line and their touch and hearing parts of their brain going with their visual cortex. So this means they're visualizing a map, probably like in color signature or something we can't even comprehend. They can see the heat that's around them. They're mapping it in real time, just like we could kind of approximate sound. If you were in a room and you knew there were certain spots that were quiet and some that were loud, and you kind of in your mind can imagine that. Or hot and cold, even you could remember like where the heater vents were and stuff, but you couldn't see them. You'd know where it's drafty. Very, very fascinating. So that is a new thing going on, and the fact that they can do that with the brains is wild. Absolutely wild. So, guys, it's already time. I gotta send you away. I don't want to stream over Danikin, but I do have new fish species to show you. So, you know what? I'm gonna try my best to stream again tomorrow, maybe tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon. But I will show you guys a bunch of new fish that were just discovered, and I'm going to wrap this up. What's up, honey? How are you? Just saying hi? Just my wife just saying hi. But if we let me see if I can get real quick a Danikin Aquatics stream link going. Hold on. Ba, 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 ba. If they're going, yeah. So let's see here. Let's get love Danny's laugh. She cheers my mood up. But here is the link, or Jeff got it. Thank you. So if you're going over there to say hi to Kenny and Danny, let's do hashtag Fishtory says hi. Let him know I'm giving him some love if you guys want to go over there, because I'd love to keep talking. I'm actually feeling pretty good, but Kenny and I have a pact that we're not going to stream over each other. So I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll do more fish news, fishery stuff in the future. This was just a quick one, and I love you guys. Thank you for your support and arguments and thoughts. It's fine if we don't all agree, but I am going to go with the science. So much love to everybody, and science changes. So I'm not saying it's completely right. I'm just saying that's what the evidence says now. So much love, everybody. Let's take care of ourselves and, you know, our fish, our plants, and I will see you over on the stream with the Danikin family, and that is hashtag Fishtory says hi. Let's go mob them, show them some love. His channel's been growing. He's got an incredible fish room, and he's been talking about downsizing, and I think we should encourage him. He's a great fish breeder. Danny's an incredible woman, his wife, who loves fish as well, and they just hang out. It's just a hangout thing. Um, so, yeah. All right, guys, I'll meet you over there. And do I agree with the Wallstead method? She says that all decay in the tank makes CO2, so it's good. No, not at all. Eutrophication can be very bad. It's good if you're doing water changes. It's good if you have systems in place to take care of it, but all CO2 is not good. But yes. All right, guys. And I don't know that she said that in that context. It might have just been kind of a overall statement or something. But that'd be a weird thing to say, because we know for a fact that like ammonia and other things, it's not that ammonia is bad, but kill your fish. It could kill your plants. It's good for your plants in small amounts, but yeah, it'll kill things. just like CO2, just like carbon monoxide, but it's not inherently good or bad. That's not a scientific statement. So yeah. All right, let's head over to the Danikin stream if you want to keep hanging out, talking fishy stuff, talking with friends. And will I answer questions over there? Yeah, probably. All right, much love, guys. See you over there.